Welcome to Extraordinary Ability with your host, Candice Ackermann. Every episode celebrates foreign nationals with extraordinary abilities who qualify for O1, EB1, and IW visas. Learn how you may qualify, especially if you have been denied other U.S. visas. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on www.visalawpros.com. Now here's the host of Extraordinary Ability, Candice Ackermann.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Extraordinary Ability. I'm Candice Ackermann, founder and managing attorney of visalawpros.com, and I'm super pumped for our guest today, whose name is Bar Markovich, and he is going to introduce himself. Bar, tell us where you're from, first of all, and what is your area of extraordinary ability?
Hello, everyone. My name is Bar Markovich. I live in London, United Kingdom. My area of extraordinary ability is music. I'm a musician. I play the violin, and that's what I do for a living.
And he has a rockin' accent. I'm going to let him keep working that.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Please tell us what served as inspiration for you to become a musician. How did you get into it? Who and what has inspired you in the past and now?
It's a funny journey, actually, the way it started. It started completely randomly. I was sent to this kind of afternoon activity for kids, and it was a musical activity, and the teacher over there told my parents that I had perfect pitch, so therefore I should have learned the violin. Now, back then I was 4, so my parents were thinking, fair enough, if not karate, it's going to be the violin then. We were all very clueless. Eventually, I ended up studying the violin. I started at the age of 6. And again, very clueless, very naive about it. I wouldn't want to stop at first because I was afraid that the violin would get offended as a kid, yeah. But then sooner or later, I realized that that's something I just wanted to do for the rest of my life. I got inspired by quite a few different musical acts, I would say. One of them was Lord of the Dance, which is an Irish tap dancing show. Amazing one, by the way. I was blown away by the music and the fact that they had 2 violinists playing on the electric violins. Some other musicians were like Vanessa May, which is a very famous Scotch genre violinist, who I was very much blown up by when I was 6 and 7. And even later on, it was just fun to try and play whatever she was playing in her albums. Later on, I got inspired by obviously some other classical violinists and even musicians from other genres like rock music, jazz music, pop music. Just my whole horizon started broadening. And yeah, that's why I'm here today, basically. I just love playing music of any genre, and I do this for a living, and I'm feeling very fortunate.
Amazing. Tell us about some highlights of some of your past performances. You know, when you draft an O1 case, oftentimes for artists, I have to describe a starring role where they've performed in the past for distinguished productions or events, and that they're likely to do that in the future. Tell us about some of your past starring roles in distinguished productions that you're proud
of? There's one that I had a lot of fun doing, and it was a Dolce & Gabbana fashion show in Italy, in Lake Como in 2018, and I was a leading performer over there, literally performing by myself throughout the exhibition, the fashion show, for the guests. And also walking on the runway with the models as well while playing. That was a lot of fun. I had such a great time over there. I got even a Dolce & Gabbana tailor coat that they made for me. This was definitely a big highlight for me. After that, I did some really cool productions for Make-A-Wish, which is a big charity. I played for People of Dior in south of France. Actually, yesterday, I had a really big event here in London.
Good job.
Yeah, I represented a very unique and important music center from Israel over here. And I performed live as a soloist with their virtual ensemble of 75 string players. They were like all presented on a big video screen behind me, and I played live on top of that. And that was very, very fun project to do, to be part of. Also, I had to arrange the whole medley that I played with them, which again was big challenge, but it was a lot of fun. And I think there were around 900 people in the venue. So yeah, it was exciting.
By the way, if you do that Dolce & Gabbana fashion show again, I'm totally coming.
I would love
Big
to.
fan.
I would love to. They did call me again for a fashion show in Dubai, but back then I had issues with my passport, so I just couldn't take it. It was a big shame, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be other ones.
Okay. Well, for your case, I talked a little bit about your performances in some symphony orchestras. Do you want to tell the audience, Facebook land and elsewhere, a little bit about some of the performances you've done back in the motherland?
Yes, absolutely. So I was born in Israel and I grew up in Haifa. This was the city I come from. And there's a very nice symphony orchestra there, the Haifa Symphony Orchestra. And as a teenager, I got a few opportunities to play solo with them, which I did, in the sold-out auditoriums. And those experiences were actually very, very, very unique and important for me as a developing musician. I remember in one of the concerts I had a cadenza, which is a part when you play a bit of impromptu part by yourself, and it was a classical piece by Vivaldi, and I told the conductor before that I'm going to do something a little bit different, and my cadenza was very bluesy rock kind of style, and people loved it, and everyone on stage was surprised by my choice of taste, I would say. But everyone loved it, and they thought it was a brave choice, especially as a teenager. And I just enjoyed myself, you know.
Well, everyone in Israel is pretty trendy, so I can imagine that would have gone down pretty well. Young and old, everyone's celebrating, participating together at concerts. That's one thing that I love about Israel. Everybody sort of hangs out, chills, enjoys life together. Doesn't matter what age you are. But tell us, I just thought of a question while you were speaking. Is there a big difference between playing classical and more, rock-based violin music? Did you have to do separate training, or is it more complicated? Is there a big difference between those two genres of violin playing, if you will?
There is there is difference between every genre. Every genre is like a different language, if you would say. So yeah, absolutely, yes. Classical music is a certain genre with certain rules and certain sound as well. Rock music is totally different genre, certain sounds, certain rules, different language. That I could tell you lots of different aspects, for example, harmonies and melodies, and it goes on to lots of different small details. So yes, there are differences. The only thing that, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, that shouldn't have a difference is the level of quality of what you're doing. If you're doing anything in high quality, to me, it should be applied in any genre you're playing.
And which do you prefer? What are you sort of more focused on now at this point in your career? Are you hop between the two, or do you have to prepare or get in certain headspace or performance space in order to do one versus the other? Where are you at now with your?
That's a very good question. Very interesting, I must say, because in the past I didn't know how to answer that question. I also found that there's this kind of contradicting scenario that I don't know, like how am I supposed to relate to it? But the answer for me was forming my own identity as a musician rather than being a violinist. And these days I can tell you that I'm just a musician in general, and I would play any genre you ask me to. I wouldn't have to choose in between or be torn in between. If you give me a classical piece to perform with an orchestra within a certain time frame, I'd have to prepare for it. Obviously, I'll practice and I'll do it. And say for anything else. So at this point, I'm just a general musician who is able to take whatever task you'd give to and just work it out. So whatever the project is, I'll just do it and I'll get into it and put my brain into it and my heart and my soul into it. I'll just do it.
What does that mean? Maybe you can explain to us a little bit more. What does that mean to find, or what does it mean to you to find your musical voice? And, where are you hoping that your musical voice will take you?
That is to do with myself as a person. And that takes a little bit of time. And it's a journey of self-discovery. Because I believe that the art that you're doing is not defining you as much as you define the art that you're doing. And I would believe that it applies to anything in life. So you define whatever you're doing. So it took me some time, obviously, growing and developing and experiencing life, not just as a professional, but as an individual. And then I started forming my own identity, what I actually like, what I'm passionate about. And you put everything into a melting pot, and there's a fusion that happens. And from then, you just take whatever comes out and you use it, you harness it, and you put it into whatever you're doing. So I would play classical music the way I am, and I'll play rock music the way I am. Obviously, I would listen to the style and I would respect the aspects of whatever genre I'm playing, and understand the language of it and make it sound the way it should sound. I'm not going to play rock music, for example, sounding classical, and not vice versa as well. I'm going to play rock music the way it's supposed to sound. If it sounds a little bit dirty, if it sounds bendy, that's how it's going to sound on the violin. If jazz music has a certain sound, I'll make sure I sound this way. If pop music has a certain sound, I'll sound this way. So yeah, I'm very much dedicated to bring out the best of whatever I'm doing in the most, I would say, respectful and tasteful way as well. And I'll push some boundaries on the way as well.
I love that answer because it's really spoken like a true artist, and it really resonates with me because most people wouldn't think about lawyering or advocating as a lawyer, being a lawyer as an artistic endeavor. But I really look at my whole career as a patchwork, as as art as well. And my extraordinary ability or my art is really dealing with people like you and writing 10 to 20 page book reports to the US government about why and how you shine. And it gives me so much joy to use my sort of creative writing ability to sort of bring to the fore, how amazing all of my clients are, including you. And for me, I use a lot of my own voice and values that I bring to the table. Like my practice, for example, is very boutique oriented. A lot of my friends are my clients, or my clients become my friends. And I really take a lot of pride in seeing, finding where they're at right now and using the O1 visa process to really watch and explore how they benchmark from wherever they're at to, really grow as humans and as artists. And in the United States, and really flower and blossom and see how they take their career to new levels. So for me, that's part of the purpose of the podcast, is to kind of feature where you're at now, where you're hoping to go. And I guess it's a good segue into the one question I do like to ask all my guests, which is, what was it like? What was your experience like working with my firm? Give us a little bit of the backdrop of how we wound up connecting, how I wound up working on your case, because this one is kind of a high drama story from my end. There was a short timeline. I had to dry clean my cape, get it ready, sit at my piano, and really rock this one out. But I'm going to let you share what your side of things, what your experience was like, and for the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very short amount of time since we decided that we're going for it. I think it was literally a month, maybe less even. And there were some holidays in between, and it was a tough one. And I must say, immediately we were just rolling immediately, and everything was super fast and everything was so efficient. And I remember you pulling some strings that were like, damn, how did you do that? And you sent some extra letters to some organizations just to secure other professional opinions to get a stronger case. And that was very impressive as well. And I think it's very important because you wouldn't just rely on one specific avenue. You wanted to have extra reinforcements from the sidelines. And I really appreciate that. I think that's very important. It means that you think not in a very narrow way, but you actually consider a lot of things around. And it's something that I personally very much identify with. I like to look at situations from different angles. And yeah, I think that worked out really well. And we managed to get a visa, and for 3 years as well. So it's a big, big accomplishment, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Me too. I'm always grateful to work with really cool people and who inspire me, and who are just fun to work with and work for. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects that are upcoming that you're going to present your O1 visa to get into the United States for the purpose of doing what?
So I already managed to go to the States, and I performed in Washington and Chicago. And I want to say that these two performances were successful because, by the way, I performed for a charity over there. And why these performances were successful is because the same charity got back to me asking for further 12 dates in October, November, and December. So that is very exciting. And
raising money for charity and for bar.
Absolutely. And there's more potential dates for 2024. So very excited about that. And I'm looking to explore even further opportunities in the States to perform outside of this this charity. So hopefully I'll manage to get some other things as well. But so far, it's amazing, and I'm loving every bit of it.
Plug for bar on the Visa Law Pros podcast. If you are looking for a talented violinist to perform at your charity event, please contact me or Bar directly. And if you're a friend of his who are in need of an O1 visa, you may also call me and contact me via my website, visalawpros.com. So one exciting thing that I did sidebar ask you beforehand is if you would be willing to have a little mini show on our show, a show inside a show, if you will. And I did ask Bar if he would perform for us on his violin. I selected a song, but it's really up to you, whatever you want to play. I'm a big fan of the amazing country of Israel. I visit a lot. I have a lot of friends who live there. I have a lot of ties and connections. I do a lot of work for foreign nationals from Israel, not exclusively, but many. So I did have a request for a song, but of course, as an artist, you can use your poetic license to play for us whatever you would like. And it would be really my honor to have you perform for us on the show now.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. Amazing. Let's do that.
Go right ahead.
I think to make one of my points that I said earlier even more accurate, I'm going to use the acoustic violin, and I'm going to make it sound like rock.
Awesome.
Just to actually make it obvious on how I treat different genres. I'm going to use a very traditional instrument that is being used for classical music, and I'm going to make it sound like a totally different genre. So bear with me. I'm going to grab it 1 second.
Okay, we are standing by.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Amazing. So which national anthem was it?
It was Israel's national anthem.
Perfect. Okay.
Otherwise known as Hatikva, which means the hope. The hope in English, which is very meaningful because I also think, as a very proud American and someone who makes people American for a living, I think that this country also provides a lot of hope. So to have you performing Hatikva for my podcast with me sitting here in New York is very special. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure. Can you hear me nice and clear?
I can hear you perfectly, yes.
Amazing.
Amazing. Woo! Encore. Is there anything that since you have the floor, and we're trying to limit the podcast to about 30 minutes. Last time went to about an hour, but we do have a little bit of time left over, 10 minutes, I'd say, or, however long we want to go. But is there anything else that you can think of that you'd want to play as a dedication to somebody maybe, or just that impromptu something that you're working on, maybe an original, whatever you'd like? I'm sure everyone would like to hear a little bit more. I know I do.
I could do the American anthem.
Oh, great. I was going to ask you that. I didn't want to put you on the spot in case you didn't know it, but since you do, amazing.
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
Happy to do it.
Amazing. And I will put my hand on my heart for that. Magnificent. That was absolutely stunning. And honestly, I think that's the perfect way to end the episode on today's podcast, because there's really no encore or anything that can supersede that. And I just want to thank you so very much for your time today, for that exquisite display of your art. And you can see how much joy and passion and love you have for what you do. I share that. And thank you for sharing that with us, with me, with all of our viewers. And I can't wait to see you shine with more performances across the US and across the world, and see you in Israel, hopefully. And keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. Congratulations on your O1 success, and from strength to strength, as we say. Kol hakavod. Thank you so
very
much.
Toda raba. Thank you.
Bye.
You've been tuning into Extraordinary Ability with your host, Candice Ackermann. Learn how you may qualify for O1, EB1, NIW visas, especially if you have been denied other U.S. visas. Please visit www.visalawpros.com to contact us and for other episodes. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.